Hello, good morning everyone. Very warm. Hi, I'm Tanu Vermani, a TOEFL and TESOL certified trainer and an IDP certified trainer. As you know that we are covering up our listening modules and we have already covered up the reading part and now we are covering our this listening module. So today is the 14th session and we are covering listening and the topic for today's session is inference questions. Now, what are inference questions? How to tackle inference questions in the listening module. Inference questions, they ask the listener to show an understanding of the meaning of something when it is not directly stated in the lecture or conversation. That means that you won't be able to have directly stated meaning in the lecture. You have to understand. That means they will give you a statement or a phrase and you have to show that are you able to understand the meaning of something which is not directly stated in the lecture or not, right? So inference question means meaning of something not directly stated. So basically you have to show your understanding, your skills, that are you able to understand that meaning or not. How do you recognize the question type? How to recognize these inference questions? These inference questions, they can recognize by the use of phrases like, what are implications of? What does the professor imply? What can be inferred? So you can see that these three phrases can be used in your statement, right? And you have to be very careful. You have to check that is this inference questions or not, right? Got it? So make sure you understand these three phrases, and you should remember that if these three phrases are used, that means they're talking about the inference question, and it's easier for you to recognize these type of questions. Now, TOEFL listening inference questions, they are also similar to inference questions in the reading section, right? We have already done with the reading part, the TOEFL reading questions, right? And in that also we have inference question. So they also ask test taker that you have to identify an idea that was suggested by information presented in the passage, but not directly stated. However, if you talk about these listening inference questions, they tend to be somewhat easier to solve because test taker cannot refer back to the text like they can with reading inference questions, right? Now the information is not directly stated in the lecture or conversation, but the answer choices are more like paraphrasing than an educated guess. There is usually only one inference question per passage. Sometimes the question will include a replay of part of the conversation or lecture. Inference questions are easy to recognize also because they are usually written as follows, like what can be inferred from professor discussion of X something. What will be the student probably do next? What is implied when the speaker says this? So they are actually asking you with these phrases, right? So they are easy to recognize because they usually written as these three words: imply, express, inferred, right? Now, inference question, you need to decide on the correct answer without the answer being given directly. You can recognize these type of questions by phrases, right? What does the professor imply? What can be inferred? So these listening questions, they require you to make your own conclusion and use some of the critical thinking part. So see an example question. What is the professor? What is it that the professor is implying about the tools that the inhabitants of Ketayuk utilize? First option, they were created using stone of Ketayuk. They were some of sharpest tools at the time. They were frequently part of religious rituals, or one of their primary uses was of agriculture. So you have to listen to the audio, and on the basis of listening, you have to find out the answer of the statement which is not directly stated, right? So you have to show your understanding skills here. See here, there's an excerpt from the passage and its inference question. So this is a transcript of an audio recording. And then after that, you have a question. What does the professor imply about Drake's equation? So what does the professor express about Drake's equation? You have four options. Read the recording transcript part and then decide on to your answer that what does professor imply about Drake's equation? Once done, okay. Now let's see the options here. First says it cannot be used accurately predict the number of civilization that can communicate with humans. So do you think it's the correct one? Is the professor talking about that Drake equation cannot be used accurately to predict the number of civilizations? B1 says it relies upon multiple variables, so it requires powerful computers to answer. Computers, they did not mention about anything related to computers part. C1, it can provide a good estimate of the number of words that harbor life. No, again, it is contradictory that it provides good estimate of the number of words. No, right? D1, it was intended to encourage conversation at the first city meeting. No, they didn't talk about it. So only first, if you look at the A option, he mentions that because of these factors, the equation is less of a math problem and more of a thought exercise. That means it cannot be used accurately to predict the number of civilizations, right? For better explanation, you can see the explanation part. Let's look at the second one. Again, look at the sample question from from a literature lecture about detective novels, including a famous one called The Moonstone. So this is a transcript. Please go through the transcript and then we'll be moving towards to the question part. Hmm. Now let's look at the question. What does the professor imply when he says this? Let me try to give you a sense of a surgeon cough is by first describing the regular pullus. So what does he try to refer? What does he try to express with this statement? What does the professor imply when he say this? First says, surgeon cuff is unlike the regular pullus in the moonstone, or the author's description of surgeon cuff is very realistic. Surgeon cuff learned to solve crimes by observing the regular pullus, or differences between surgeon cuff and Sherlock Holmes are hard to describe. So, what do you think? What does he express with this statement? That he tried to give you a sense of who Surgeon Cuff is by first describing the regular pullus. So, what do you think? Now we can see that this is an inference question because it has word like imply, and it asks the listener to show an understanding or meaning of something that is not directly stated by the professor. So when the professor says this, let me try to give you a sense of who Surgeon Cuff is by first describing the regular pullus. He's actually giving you a hint that there is a difference between behavior of regular pullus and that of a surgeon cuff, right? So this contrast is supported in other parts of the passages of. For example, speaker describes about regular pullus as bumbling inept. He also says it is common in detective novels for them to be countered by specific characters also, right? In this case, Surgeon Cuff, who is brilliant. Taken together, we can see that best answer is A, because Surgeon Cuff is unlike the regular pullus in the moonstone. Okay, so I hope you got an idea how to solve this. You have to look what does the professor imply by that particular statement, which is not directly, the meaning is not directly stated, but you have to show your understanding skills here. Now, one tip for you is how to improve your listening skills is that you should listen to the recordings of two speakers with different viewpoints about the same topic. What words do the speaker use to support their ideas? Are the words mainly positive or negative? Then look at how they imply positive or negative ideas without saying them directly. Skill building tip also, like are the words positives or negatives? How do they imply positive or negative ideas, right? So you have to look for your skill building. Listen for inferences, right? I hope you got an idea how to solve these type of questions. Visit the babycode application or YouTube to watch our live sessions. Boost your focus and confidence also, right? Master your power of English with us. Our live sessions can be a game changer for you. Do the star rating. Any queries, any doubts, please write down your comments so that I can know. And you are practicing, you are learning. Do let me know that you are practicing on a daily basis by watching our live sessions. And tell your friends also to watch our live sessions so that it can be fruitful for them as well. Bye bye. Thank you so much for watching our live sessions. Take care, all of you, and stay tuned for the next one.